Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of ProgramHub. My name is Vishal, and today in this episode, we're gonna learn about HTML. Now, in this episode of HTML, we're gonna take a dive into the very basics of HTML. We're gonna understand what is HTML, what do we require to write HTML code, and where it is used, and what are the basic tags that are used in HTML. So, we're gonna take up a very short and a very quick overview about HTML. Okay. Now, before we start up with the video, we should know that what does HTML stands for. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Okay, so this is a language that is used in all the browsers. So whenever in a browser you try to go up to any website, all the websites on the internet are using HTML to display their websites. Okay, so all the pages on the internet, that whichever page you go up to, is made up with HTML. HTML is the very core foundation for all the pages built on the internet. Now, how can we get started with writing the code in HTML? To write a code in HTML, you just need any kind of a notepad or a text editor. But for a better performance and for better way to write a code, I would really suggest you to install some of the code editors. Now, basically, to write the code in HTML, you don't need any kind of installation, or you don't need any kind of code editors or IDEs or any softwares. You can just get started with right away with your notepad or text editor. But just for a betterment, I would really suggest you to install one of these code editors as per your preference. The number one preference for code editor of mine is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is one of the most used and most popularly used code editors. So I would really suggest you to install Visual Studio Code, and to get the Visual Studio Code you can find the link right into the description below. The next editor I would suggest you is Sublime Text. Now this is also one of the most used code editors that you can use for coding, and you can use for writing the code in HTML. The next code editor that we have is Atom, so you can use Atom. The next one that we have is Brackets, and the last one that we have is Notepad++. So these are just some 5 code editors right over here. There are many others, but I have just listed down this top 5 code editors that you can use, and the links to all these code editors can be found in the description below. So you have to just go onto the website, download the code editor and install the code editor. And if you need any more assistance in installing any of these code editors, do let us know in the comments below. Okay, so let's get started with writing some code and starting to understand how to write code in HTML. So let's get to the text editor I'm going to use over here. The code editor I'm going to use is Visual Studio Code. Okay. So guys, I'm over here in my Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to create a file over here for HTML, and I will save that file first of all. So first of all, for creating the file, I'll just close this tab over here. This is the welcome screen on Visual Studio Code. Whenever you'll start the Visual Studio Code for the very first time, you will see this kind of screen over here. So either you can create a new file just by clicking over here on new file, or you can hit Command or Control N. So it will create a new file over here. I'll just close this welcome tab over here, and now I'm onto a new tab. Okay, now the very first thing that we need to do over here is save this file. Before even starting to code, I will save this file in an HTML format. To save this file in an HTML format, you can hit Command or Control S. Now this window will pop up over here. I will just name it as index.html. Now look over here. I have just entered an extension to the file name, that is .html. Now this is very important over here, because if you do not add the extension .html, the file will not be saved in an HTML format. So if you are using a notepad or any other text editor over here or code editor, so make sure that you do add the .html extension, and always select the all files as your format system. Okay, so I'm trying to save this file on my desktop. I'll just click save. Now this file has been saved to HTML format, and very soon you could see over here there are some changes into the code editor. Now this code editor automatically detects this file is an HTML file, and now all the codes for HTML have been loaded up in this code editor. This is the beauty of using Visual Studio Code, and that's why I recommend you also to use Visual Studio Code, because now this Visual Studio Code, this code editor will help us to auto-complete all the tags that we are trying to add into this. Now, the very first line in an HTML file is bracket open. Okay, so we have to open up a bracket over here. This is mostly the sign of the less than sign. Now, what we will do over here, an exclamation mark, doc type, okay, HTML. Now this is the very first line that you need to add in all the HTML files. This line defines that your file is being using HTML5 version. Okay, so HTML5 version is been defined by this line, that is exclamation doc type HTML. Now the very first thing that you need to do after this line is you have to open the HTML tag. Now to write the HTML tag, you just need to open up the bracket over here, type HTML, and then close the bracket. Now, as soon as you close the bracket, you could see over here there is one more tag added to your file. Now, Visual Studio Code automatically adds the end tag. Now, what is an end tag or closing tag? The end tag or the closing tag is nothing but same as the opening tag, but it is preceded by an slash symbol or a forward slash. Okay, so as you can look over here, there's a slash symbol. Okay, now this sign defines that this tag is a closing tag. All the tags in HTML have an opening tag, have a closing tag. Okay, so whatever is the opening tag, just if we add a forward slash into that, we will get the closing tag. Now we have opened the HTML tag. Now the very first thing that we need to do over here is go ahead and add a body tag. Now this is going to be a very simple thing right now what we are trying to do. There are many more tags over here. For example, there will be head tag or something else, but we are just trying to make it very simple right now. Okay, now body tag. Now body is something where the main content for your web page or your website comes in. For example, let me add over here hello world. Okay, now this is a very simple thing just I have added over here. Now body is the part where your main contents for your website or for your web page will come in. Now I've just added hello world. I'm trying to save this file. I'll click Control or Command S. Now I have saved this file and I will just try to run this file and show it to you what is the outcome of this file. So I go over here and I click over the file, and now you can see that my browser has popped up and over here I can see hello world. So this is how your HTML file functions. Now let me make it little more clearer to you. Okay, now we are onto a side-by-side window so that we can quickly refresh and see what are the changes happening over here. Now, after the body tag over here, inside body tag, you can have multiple tags over here. For example, the very basic tag that we have is the paragraph tag. Now, paragraph tag is denoted by opening bracket P and a closing bracket, and a closing tag has been automatically added over here. Now, what does a paragraph tag do over here? Paragraph tag is used to display any kind of a text into your web pages. For example, this hello world, I can just cut this and I can just paste this over here in between the paragraph tags, and I'll just save this file once again, and I'll try to refresh the web page over here. Now you can see over here once again hello world is popped up because this is nothing but a paragraph tag. Now using paragraph tag, I can use it for adding multiple paragraphs over here. So let's add over here, this is the beginning. Okay, now let's save this and let's try to view this once again. So over here you can see in your browser that you have an hello world, and then you have this is the beginning. Now why do we need paragraph tag when we can add text right away into the body tag? Because if we even add hello world and this is the beginning right away into the body tag, it will also display the same way. So let's try adding that and let's see what's the difference between the two things. Okay, let's just push this down and I'll just write over here hello world, and I'll just go to the next line and I'll type this is the beginning. Okay, now I've got these two lines written over here without the paragraph tag. Now let's save this and try to see the change. Now over here, can you see the change and can you judge the change? Because if you can see over here, there is a very slight difference. The hello world, and this is the beginning, that is written without the paragraph tag, has no paragraph alignment. That means all the text has been catenated or has been added up together into one single line. Rather, if you look over here onto the hello world and this is the beginning sentences that has been added in between paragraph tag, they have a clear definition of paragraphs. So paragraph tag has been used over here to define the paragraphs. If you do not use the paragraph tag, all your text will be cluttered up into one single line. Are you understanding this? So I hope you could understand the difference between adding and not adding the paragraph tag. So this is the very basic thing that we have tried over here. So now I want from you all that you should try making up your own HTML file and build your some web pages just by adding some content into it. Now we haven't learned a lot, but I just want you all to practice making up a HTML file, add up some content into it, some paragraphs without text, and so on. And if you want, you can share that as your first HTML code in the Facebook group that is linked in the description below. So go ahead, join our group on the Facebook and post in your very first HTML code and outcome for that, and we'll be really happy to see you there. So goodbye, meet you in the next video.